I want to talk about Grammarly, and I want to talk about why we use tools for process instead of tools for outcome, and how we can't really detect AI. So Grammarly announced that they are going to roll out a product called Authorship that is supposed to detect AI. If you read the fine print on Grammarly's own page, there are a number of massive, massive concerns around this rollout. They admit it could be biased against non-native English speakers. They admit that this is based on detecting words that AI uses more frequently. They're using an algorithm. They're reading for a pattern in text that they think AI uses more frequently. But of course, non-native English speakers could also use that pattern because they don't necessarily have the same underlying distribution of word choice. There's often other grammars that they're working with. And I say that as an Indonesian speaker, and I see it myself. When I look at that, the first thing I think of is, why are you focused so much on the process instead of on the outcome? And that is probably me stuck in tech for too long, because I understand that if you're a student, there is a lot of concern around authorship and AI. And Grammarly is trying to be a good company and ship a product that addresses that. But I'm concerned that if they ship that product, it is going to be used to generate false positives. It's going to be used to make claims that can't really be backed up by a deterministic check. You cannot know if the text was really AI generated. Yes, you can say, oh, it uses delve, it uses interplay, it uses a generic adjective. Sure, so do people. And one of the challenges that you have to face is that you're working in a medium that people use, and it could well be just the idiosyncrasies of someone's language use that you are falsely dinging. Now, where I think that the product adds value is they say that they're checking for word copies in a lot of academic journals. And they're looking to see if there's plagiarism, where people are copying text from other papers that maybe the professor hasn't read and putting it into the document. That could really help, right? That could help to reduce the incidence of plagiarism. I do not think that the authorship tool more broadly is actually going to help with the problem they are professing to solve around authorship detection. I don't think so. I also don't think it's worth it, because at the end of the day, from a larger economic perspective, you need these students to be prepared to use AI in the workplace. And if you are focused exclusively on process, on, for instance, and I'm actually not kidding here, literally labeling your Google Doc text with what the system thinks is AI generated and what it isn't, you are teaching the students to wordsmith and actually lose time on AI instead of teaching them to use AI to deliver effective outcomes, think critically about whether the AI is getting them there, and go faster. And those are the skills that students are going to need in business. Those are the skills that professionals around me are using all the time. Is it worth it? Is this the right call for AI? It's intelligence allocation. Do I give this to the LLM to do, or do I do it? And Grammarly actually isn't supporting that motion when they do this. They are very much inserting themselves into the debate between professors and students. And while that may make sense for their customer base, I'm not inside Grammarly, I don't know. It is something that reflects a short-sightedness with regards to students' long-term career preparation for the workplace. Students are going to need to know how to use large language models at work. Otherwise, they're going to be caught without that skill set, and they're going to be less competitive. It does not make sense to me to try and make them put the brakes on that when we should actually be asking them to think critically about how they're using it and to make sure that the outcomes that they're delivering are better. And so I would like to see our LLM papers better. Our papers that maybe even that this tool thinks are AI generated, are they better? Is the outcome better? Because if the quality bar is being raised and you still want to spend time labeling and wordsmithing, you're labeling and wordsmithing so that the quality bar on average can come down to match what it used to be, because now it will be human generated. And that does not make sense to me. That is not a motion that anybody in business is going to support. And I'm not saying that because education should just be like a pipeline to business, but I am calling out that there are career skills here in a very fast changing world that matter. And I feel like this is a product release that does not support long-term career development and long-term skills growth for people who are getting started in a world where LLMs are going to be there from day one of their careers. They have to know how to use them well. But I have not heard of anybody at the university level that is focused on making sure that they understand how LLMs drive business outcomes. Nobody. Now, I've heard, this is how you use ChatGPT. Yes, absolutely. That's getting taught. But I would venture to guess that if you think that you can use an AI authorship tool to reliably detect student text versus AI text, then you're not teaching how to use ChatGPT well, because you know what you can do? You can go into the system prompt in ChatGPT and you can tell it, don't use generic adjectives, don't use delve, don't use interplay. You can name whatever you want and it won't. And now what are you going to do with your AI detected text? So you can hack around the system already. And if they don't realize the students are doing it, they're probably not teaching the students well enough. So I call all of this out because, one, there is a persistent myth that AI detection is deterministic and you can just know, and it's not true. And two, I call it out because I think we need to think more about outcomes and how we deliver extra value with the AI we generate and the time we save. And I think we need to think less about whether we need to make our writing sound a particular way. I don't think that was very productive at all. So that's my thought on Grammarly and authorship. Don't love that release. Understand why they did it. I think the best thing about it is the plagiarism detector from other academic papers. What do you think?